Alright, there we go. Now we should be good. Alright, there we go. Okay. Now we've got a headset. Perfect. So for those of you that are just getting here, this is Inscryption. This is a card game. It's completely offline. There's no multiplayer. You mostly play against this fool right here that's staring at us. But you'll notice, if you did notice, there was no new game button. It's only continue, even from the beginning. Now, I did play through one map of this already. I have beaten this game before on another platform, but I just got this on PlayStation. I just played for about an hour or maybe a little less. So I'm not starting completely from the beginning, but I am still in the first world here. But there is no new game possibility from the beginning, so that's your first hint that there's really more going on here than meets the eye. And this room that we're in, there's no way to leave. You can get up from the table, as you can see I've been doing, but there's no way to leave the room. But this room carries a lot of secrets with it, and we'll go through and mess with some of this as we go. But you will notice that there's a lot of peculiar things in here, and that's going to be important. We're going to want to keep paying attention to that. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to kind of explain what's going on as we go to everybody who doesn't know. So you start the game with 5 cards. We started with the 2 wolves, the river snapper, and I think that was it, actually. I think it was just the 4. These other 4 we've collected as we've gone along. So if you take a look here, this is your map, and every little symbol on here is a stop. So certain places you get a chance to choose, like the fork ahead, where it's a backpack, and then the little symbol on the right. You will get to choose where you go, and everything does something different. So you'll get to know the pictures as we go and as you see it more often to make your decisions. But this first stop here, where it's got the question mark on it, it's going to be giving us a new card to pick from. And you want to try and pick your cards so that your deck has some synergy, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult to have a strong deck. Now you'll notice each card here has different little blood droplets. That is their cost. So basically every time you want to play a card down, you have to sacrifice another card for it. Now you have squirrels, one deck just of squirrels, which are what you use to sacrifice. Now you can use any card to sacrifice, but typically you want to use the squirrels because they have 0 attack, which is this number on your bottom left, and 1 health, which is a number on the bottom right. So you can't use squirrels to attack or do damage or do anything like that. So typically you're going to use those, and we'll see as we get into a playthrough here. But I've got to pick a card. Now you'll notice some cards seem better than others, but like I say, that's all going to depend on your synergy. Now some cards have little sigils underneath, which is a little picture on the middle of the bottom card there, and they all do different things, and there's a little book you can look through that shows all the different sigils. But the sigils are very important because they give your creatures certain powers. And so what this little symbol on the right of the path here, that is where you get the sigils. You'll be able to have the opportunity to go through and sacrifice one of your cards permanently to give that sigil to something else. So if I want to give this little touch of death here from the adder to my Gek, it would sacrifice the adder and give it to the Gek, which actually I'm going to do, and you'll get a chance to see what it looks like. So you have these 2 little tablets here, and basically whichever card you put on the bottom is going to be the one that you sacrifice, and then the one up top is going to get any sigils that card being sacrificed has. I'm going to give it to my Gek because if you notice, my Gek does not have a cost. So the Gek's actually free to play. And so that makes this even more valuable because I get everything that the adder has for 2 last cost. So there is a balance between choosing the cost of your deck and the power. You don't want to have everything super strong to the point where you can't get enough squirrels or anything to sacrifice for it to get it down to where you can't play. So you want to try to keep your deck relatively cheap, which right now my deck's very cheap, so that's nice. And for those who haven't played, if you look at the board here, he's got 2 bees down. Now those 2 bees are not currently in play because they're on the little row where the arrows are. And where those arrows are, that's showing you what he's going to play on his next turn. You can see little spiders come out to say hi. The playing field is going to maintain this space. He has 4 rows to play in, I have 4 rows to play in. But this back column back here is showing you what he's going to play ahead so that you can try to plan ahead a little bit. Now, we always go first. So ideally, you'd like to get a card down on your first turn if you can. Now, the bees here have sigils, which this is airborne, which you're going to see this a lot. Me, personally, this is my least favorite sigil in the game because I always forget about it. You can't block the airborne creatures because they just hit the board directly, which means you're going to take damage without blocking. So ordinarily, if this bee was not airborne and I put my Gek down right here, it would block it and kill my Gek instead of damaging the board. If there's nothing opposing it like there is now, if I don't do anything about it, then when he goes, he's going to give me 2 because he's got 1 attack here, 1 attack power here. So he's going to hit me for 2. And this little balance beam here has a little hand in the middle with all the teeth at the very top. Every attack you hit or every attack you get hit, it moves. To the left, you're taking damage. To the right, you're dealing damage. And you can only take 5 until it's over. Once it hits that last tooth, you've lost the match. And our little candlesticks on the right here are your lives. So if you lose 1, you're fine, but if you lose 2, you're out and you have to start the entire game over from the beginning, which is why I say this game is very hard, and I like to take my time when I'm playing it because it's very easy to make a mistake if you're thinking and moving too quickly. You really want to make sure that you're comfortable before you start playing too fast. Now, the more you play, the more you'll get comfortable, but especially in the beginning when you're learning all these sigils and the airborne and the touch of death, all this stuff, waterborne, as you're learning all the sigils and learning how to play the game and all the mechanics, you're going to want to take your time because it's very easy to make a mistake, which early on you're not losing that much, but you'll just see. So I'm going to place a squirrel, and like I said, it has 0 attack power, so if I take my turn right now, I'm not going to do any damage. You can use a squirrel to block because it does have 1 health and it is a space on the board, but typically you want to use your squirrels to sacrifice for other things, like my bullfrog and my river otter have a cost of 1 blood. So I need to sacrifice 1 card to get it down. Now, cards that you sacrifice in a battle, you do not lose permanently, you just lose them for the rest of this battle, and then you get them back next time. So I'm going to play my bullfrog, and I'm going to put it right here, and the reason why is because it actually has Mighty Leap, which is basically anti-airborne. So when this bee comes down, it's going to damage my bullfrog for 1 instead of damaging the board. That way, I'm only taking 1 damage from the other bee instead of another. But you can also play more than 1 card each round. So I'm going to play... No, I'm not going to play anything because my Gek's only going to do 1 damage and then... see, yeah, I'm going to play 1. I'm going to play my Gek because he's safe because the bee's going to hit over him and hit the board. So I'm going to do 2 here, and then he's going to come down and do 1 because his other bee is going to hit my bullfrog. And I'm going to draw another squirrel. Typically, it's always safer to draw a squirrel if you don't have any because without the squirrels you typically can't get anything down. You can't place something that has a cost of 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. You can't play something that has a cost to sacrifice something else without a squirrel because you still need the squirrel to get the other one down. And another good strategy is that you really want to have as many cards down as possible at a time. Now, there are exceptions to this, but you don't ever want to find yourself with no cards on the board, not being able to get anything else, not being able to get anything out. And you can see once you run out of health, you die, of course. I don't have any cards, so picking a squirrel here wouldn't make sense because I can't use it to block. So I'm going to draw from my deck, which of course, I drew a wolf, which I can't play. But at least now when I have enough squirrels, I can play something. So I'm actually in a really bad spot here. My river otter's safe because he goes underwater. But that's bad because the mantis is going to hit the board. Now, the mantis hits both opposing spaces adjacent from him. So the mantis is going to do 2 plus those 2, so that's 4. Now, I'm fine, I can take this damage, but I really need to make sure I pull another squirrel next turn so I can get something else out on the board and do more damage. Yeah, because I can get my wolf down, but he won't do any damage to the board. But I need to get that mantis out of here. My river otter will do 1. If the mantis is gone, then that's 1 and 1. I'll take 2 next turn, which I can afford. So yeah, you really have to prioritize what you want to get down first, which of your opponent's cards you want to eliminate first, and try and strategize so you're always getting some damage towards the board and some of the opposing characters out. Because if you just focus on one or the other, you can get bamboozled and lose out of nowhere when you have a good run going. And the other thing that sucks is when you lose all of your lives and you have to start over from the beginning, you have to build your deck all the way over again from the beginning. So if you have really good cards and really good enchantments and everything, you lose them. So that's another incentive to make sure you keep going. Now I could draw from my deck here, but chances are, whatever it is, I won't be able to play. Now my wolf is going to do 3, but he's going to do 3 when he comes back down. Because the ant is going to come down, but it's going to hit my wolf, so I'm not worried about that. So he's going to do 3, I'm going to do 3, so I'm fine. So I'll pick one from my deck, but if it goes sour, I might have to draw a squirrel and just start blocking and let my wolf build up here. Now, I will kill the bullfrog. He's still going to do 2, though. And I can only take 1. Even if I pull a squirrel and sacrifice one of my other cards, still only going to block 1 here. So I could pull a squirrel and block 1, but I can't even take the 1 damage because my wolf and my otter are going to kill the ant and the bullfrog, so they can't do anything. So what I need to do here, I'm going to pull a squirrel, and I need to use one of my items. These 3 things here are your items, which can pull a save from out of your butt at the last minute. Now they all do different things, of course. The goat works just like a squirrel, except it gives you the equivalent of 3 blood instead of 1. Now you can't use that 3 blood separately. You can't use 2 for a wolf and 1 for a frog, or hold it for another turn. You have to use all 3 on 1 card. So you don't want to waste it on a card that costs 1, like your river otter, because it's basically like using a squirrel and you're just wasting it. You want to use it on ideally something that costs 3, or if you're really desperate, 1 for 2. The pliers are going to give you 1 tooth, and then the scissors will cut up one of your opponent's cards. Now your items are always going to change. Once you use them, you will have an opportunity to get them back later, but it won't be the same. It won't be guaranteed to be the same anyway. So I'm going to use the pliers, and you do pull your tooth out, which is terribly painful. And your screen is purple like that for a while because of the pain, which I think is a nice touch. The atmosphere in this game is very top-notch. It's dripping with atmosphere. So now you can see we've got that 1 damage that we can take. Now I'm going to put my squirrel down. I have to make sure and be very careful I don't put it in front of the bee, because the bee is going to hit the board no matter what because it's airborne. So I need to make sure I block the bullfrog because that's the only one I can do anything about. The bee is going to take 1 damage, but the wolf and the bullfrog are going to kill their opposing cards. And now next turn, they'll do damage to the board. So that was a little close there, but we're in good shape now. I'm going to pull another squirrel, and yeah, he sees the way it's going, he concedes. Now, whenever he succeeds, 95% of the time, it's not a good idea to do it. And I'll show you why at the end, but I'm not going to accept his surrender. I'm going to save that squirrel for next turn to get my river snapper down. But we're in a safe spot now. Now, the reason I say 95% of the time is because that other 5% of the time you'll be about to lose, and for some reason he thinks you have potential to win. Now, maybe you can, but in that situation, it's most likely because there's a possibility in the RNG that you pull the 1 card you need to save you, but it's typically not going to work out for you. So most of the time you don't want to accept his surrender, and that's because you can earn a form of currency by doing overkill damage to win the match. And I'm going to get rid of this bullfrog because the river snapper is nice and healthy and he can take that other hit without dying. There's a lot to consider when you're choosing which card to put down and where to put it and in what order and what you should be drawing every turn. It's something you get used to kind of quickly, but the environment and the scenario is always changing. Now, of course, I didn't get any overkill damage that turn, so you won't be able to see it quite yet. But this is a good example. So we're here with the trapper on this part of the map, and you only run into the trapper once per map. There's a total of 4 maps in the game. I'm on the second one. But you only have an opportunity to visit him once per map. And what he's looking for is pelts, which we don't have any, but he gives one for free if you don't. But you get the pelts from the trader, who you also can only see once per map. And the trader takes teeth. So what happens is, since the teeth go on the scale in the games to keep the score, if you win by overkill, like let's say you're only 1 away from winning, and you deal 3 damage to the board, then you get 2 overkill damage. And then you get those in teeth, and they show up in this little bowl over here. And then you take those to the trader, she gives you pelts, you give them to this guy, and he gives you rewards for the pelts in exchange. Or I'm sorry, you give the teeth to him for pelts, and then you take the pelts to the trader, and she can give you cards. But it all sounds very complex right now, but you'll see as we go along.
Thanks for your business. He mentioned that the trader further down the path would reward you for them.
Yeah, see? I already told the people. Don't worry. I told the people already. So we've got another enchantment. And this is something else too. Like, even though this is typically always good for you to visit, you don't necessarily want to go every single time you have the opportunity, because you do have to sacrifice a card to do it. And if you're at a good place where all of your cards in your deck are strong, then you have to sacrifice something that maybe you didn't want to. And you can only add a sigil to a card once, so you don't, you just want to be careful, because you might be stuck with only 1 or 2 options that are enchantable, and then you have to get rid of something. I'm going to get rid of... Well, actually, let me see what's eligible, because I want to give the anti-air to something. Yeah. I'm gonna sacrifice the frog so I can give his anti-air to one of my things with high health. I'm thinking the stoat, because it's easiest to put down. Like, doing the river otter here would be a mistake, because the river otter goes underwater and nothing can hit him ever when it's not his turn. So that would be a waste, because he will not jump out of the water and block it. I'm going to give it to the stoat, because he's a cheap card. He has 3 health, so he can take a block or 2. And I'm going to take a little pause here. Alright. So we're going back into another battle. We just got another card enchanted. Now, in this battle, you're going to notice there's stumps already on the board. Certain matches will come with little pieces of environment that block you. Now, you can't place anything here until it gets destroyed, and you cannot destroy it yourself. So this is one of the difficulties you'll come across in matches as well, is that for this match, I'm only having 3 spaces I can place stuff on to start. So it's just one of those things, like I say, your card management, and a lot of that comes from the cost, and whether you're pulling squirrels or from your deck, a lot of it is going to be dependent on your card management. I'm going to go ahead and put this here, because I see he's got a bullfrog coming down, and I don't want to let him get away to where I can't play, because I know I have 2 wolves in my deck. They both cost 2 blood. I don't have any more squirrels, so I'm going to need to draw at least twice before I can get anything down, and I know he's going to play more cards, so I want to stay ahead of that by starting to chip away at the bullfrog. And I also still got the 1 damage in the beginning, so now we're just tied up. I'm going to start to pull some squirrels. Now you can only draw 1 card per turn, of course. And let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to pull another squirrel. Now, there's also overkill damage, which I think he's going to explain here, because I don't think we've done it yet. So you'll see what that looks like here.
Did I neglect to mention overkill damage? Excess damage is not wasted.
Yeah, so since you get to see his cards ahead of time in this little row with the arrows, anything that's played behind a card that's active, if you kill it, like I just did, that it had 1 health and I did 2 damage, that extra damage will go to the card behind it. So that's another good strategy, is trying to pay attention to what's coming and kind of think ahead. It's very similar to, it's basically like checkers with cards and trying to play ahead of the curve and seeing what's coming along. I'm just going to keep pulling squirrels because I don't have anything I can play. Now that Rattler does 3, which really hurt, but it's alright because my river otter dodged out of the way, and now he's going to kill him next turn. So he's only going to be doing 2, which I can't take, so I need to do something. It'd be too risky to pull another card and hope I get one of my 1 blood costs, because I could get my turtle or something that costs 2, and then I'm screwed. So I'm going to pull another squirrel since I already have 1 and guarantee I can get something down. Get one of these adders out, then he's only going to do 1 damage, which I can take. And I guess I'll just see what I pull here. It doesn't really matter either way. Like I say, sometimes if you don't have any cards in your hand, you're deciding if you should pull a squirrel or a card from your deck. Some cases it's better to draw a squirrel if you have other cards on the board that are going to do damage, just to kind of block and mitigate a hit, especially if it's a big hit like that rattlesnake that did 3. I could block that and he's not going to do overkill damage. It only works on your side of the board. I can't block with the squirrel because I'm never going to be able to get anything down if I don't just play it. Now the cat is kind of OP. You can sacrifice it as many times as you want and it does not perish. Now, fun fact, the cat does actually perish. I think though you have to sacrifice it about 13 times in 1 match before it finally dies. So it does die, but most of the time you're never going to see sacrificing it 13 times in one match. I don't know why I just drew a squirrel there, because I'm not paying attention. Because he's going to do 3. Can't even take 2. I just messed up right there. Because I could have sacrificed the cat, so I should have drawn another card, but it's too late. I have nothing else I could put down. So I'm going to have to waste an item now and use the scissors to get rid of one of these. I'm going to get rid of the bullfrog, just because they all are going to do 1 health, or 1 damage, so he's going to take 2 hits to get rid of, so I'll just get rid of him. And now I still need to play the squirrel to block one of these other shots. Well, actually I could have hung on to it because I'm going to do 1, but it's fine. The early matches aren't too difficult. And that was lucky we pulled a card for 1 blood. And you'll see too, this is our first talking card.
Be silent.
Some of the cards talk, and that's another head nod to the lore of this game. Not everything is as it appears. And it doesn't really matter. I guess I'll just draw a squirrel, whatever. The only problem with blocking with the squirrels is that you can easily get into this pattern where you're just pulling 1, sacrificing it, pulling 1, sacrificing it, but you can never actually get anything that costs blood down because you're using all your squirrels to block. So you really only want to do it when you still have other cards on the board that can attack for you. Now that pelt that we got from the trapper does go into your deck until you can trade it to the trader, which we're about to visit right now. So be wary about that when you have a choice to buy pelts, because you can accidentally buy too many pelts and then they get put into your deck, and when you're really counting on drawing one of your cards to do some damage, you're going to get a pelt. And pelts are not good because not only do they not do any damage and they only have 1 health, but they also cannot be sacrificed to get other things down. So they're really weak. You only want to hang on to them strategically, kind of I'd say in pairs. You don't really want to have more than 2, because it's going to really hold you back when you're drawing, especially when your deck is bigger. When it's smaller, it's not as big of a deal because you know your chance of pulling it is higher, so you can get it out of the way and only have like 1 or 2 draws to get it out of the way. But if your deck's big and you've got 4 pelts and you've only got 1 or 2 cards that are going to save you, your chances of pulling it are lower. Pulling the one you need are lower anyway. I'm going to take the beehive because, again, I want to try and keep everything cheap. Actually, no, I'm going to take the wolf cub. So another thing you want to do here, when you're picking your cards, whenever you have an opportunity, whether it's at the question mark stop where you can pick a card or with the trader or whatever it is, you want to try and build up some synergy between your deck. So for instance, you start with the stoat, the wolf, and another wolf, and the river snapper. If you notice on the top left corner here, most cards, not every card, but most cards are going to have a little symbol of an animal on it. Now the stoat doesn't have one, the cat doesn't have one, the otter doesn't have one. They don't all have one, but most of them do. Probably about 70% of them do. Now obviously the wolf is the canine breed, the river snapper is reptile. There's also birds, insects. There's about 4 or 5. And so I think there's 5. And we're going to have an opportunity down the road to get a totem. And you'll see what that looks like. Not yet. Probably on the next time the map resets and updates. But we're going to have an opportunity to get a totem. And what the totem does is it gives you one of these blue sigils here. And it'll affect one type of animal, like one breed. So if it's you'll have to choose the sigil, and then later you'll have to visit again and choose the head. And the head's going to choose what it affects. So if it's a wolf head, all your wolf cards are going to be affected by that. But let's say my deck's how it is right now, and I pull one that's a bird or an insect. I don't have any birds or insects, so it would be really wasteful to get that because it's not going to affect any of my cards. Right now, it'd be better to build up wolf cards because I have the most wolves. Now, I don't believe I got an option for reptiles, but I had 2 reptiles, so that would have helped too. Either way you go, I mean, there's no wrong answer. It's really just establishing better odds for yourself to draw cards that are going to have the synergy and go along with your build. Now, I'm going to pull... This lets you go in the air for a turn, which could be good, but it's very niche. I'm going to pull the pliers, because I had to use the pliers I had already, and actually give me another one. I'm going to take the emergency squirrel, which I could have used last time, but the pliers worked out. Yeah, I know it's you. I see you every turn, G. A coyote and 2 kingfishers. Now, the kingfishers are a pain in the butt because they're airborne and they go underwater, so you can't even hit them. So this is going to be one of those battles where it's really just a race to do more damage. I'm going to put my... Ordinarily, I'd put my stoat down, but my wolf cub is going to evolve, and I know he's not going to take damage. Your cards that have fledgling, which is what this sigil is called here, your cards that have fledgling are going to evolve after 1 turn on the board. So, because he only has 1 health, you're going to want to try and protect him so you can guarantee the evolution, because otherwise you're not really getting the use of his power. I'm going to take 4 damage here, which is going to hurt, but we're going to get rid of the coyote next. We're going to prioritize him because, for 1, he's the only one of the 3 choices that we can actually kill. And for 2, he does the most damage. And now I'm going to put the stoat down and get rid of him. Total misplay. I disagree. I mean, I guess we could have did 5 there, and it wouldn't have really mattered, but just to be safe, in case he pulls something really strong down on the arrow above the coyote, I want to be prepared for it. Because when his side of the board gets backed up where he has 8 cards down and he's got 4 in play, 4 following in play, it can be tough to follow through because you'll put down a card, kill one, then the one comes down behind it and kills you, so you want to kind of stay ahead of it as much as you can. And I think we're in a good spot now. We should be good to go. I'll just pull a squirrel so I can guarantee getting 1 more thing down. And then we're gonna... I think we're finally gonna get our first overkill damage. Yeah, we are. So we're gonna get our first tooth. Yeah. Maybe we got some on the last one. I wasn't paying attention. And this little thing down at the end here with the little fishes on the hook, that is a boss symbol. So we're almost at the end of this map. Every map ends with a boss. And you'll see, like, pay attention to these trees and everything that are on the map. All that, the environment is going to change, which doesn't really make a difference. It's just for the effect of it. But all that's going to change. Now, we do have a choice between either getting another card or choosing another card. I forgot what this does. So the question mark is going to offer you 3 cards at random, and you just get to choose. The blood is also going to be random with the cards that it offers you, but you get to choose the cost of it. It'll let you choose the cost of 1, 2, or 3, typically. Now, there's also bones, but we'll get to that when the time comes. I'm going to choose the blood. I always think this is a better choice if you're given these 2 choices, because it's the one thing that you can control as far as maintaining the synergy of your deck and choosing something that's going to be manageable, whether it's the cost or getting the sigil and you have evolutions to get through. As many aspects of the game that you can manage and you can be in control of, the better. Now my deck is pretty cheap, which you can view your deck at any time if you do forget, except for in a battle. But my deck is pretty cheap. I've got 1/1 free, 1, 3 2s, and another 1. So I've got 4 1s and a free. It's pretty cheap. Now typically, the higher the cost of the blood, the better the card. So I could try and get a really good card for 3, but I don't know if I'm comfortable with it yet. Sure, let's see. Yeah, we got a grizzly. Okay. Now, I only chose to get that because I do have the cat where I can sacrifice unlimited times. So once I get that down, I only need 2 sacrifices for the cost of 3, pretty much. But I still have to make sure my cat survives, and I still have to be careful about my items. Now, the game is telling me here that I'm full on items. You can only carry 3. So when you reach the backpack without any space for more items, he's going to give you a pack rat card, which gives you an item every time you play it. So you could refill your items all in one battle. It is a really good card. I don't like getting it because I just think it's too unpredictable. It forces you to have another card. And I just picked an expensive one too, and it's costed 2. So this is my favorite boss, by the way, just because of all the blue and the music.
I am the angler go fish.
Yeah, he's very grumpy. Kingfisher, huh? Also, in the boss battles, if you notice that there, how you always have 2 candles. I made it through the whole map without losing a life, so I still have both my candles, but once you get to the boss battle, if you lose a boss battle, you automatically lose the whole game and have to start over. So what they do to make it make sense is that the boss blows out one of your candles so that you only have 1 left. So it kind of sucks. You have to win the boss battles, or else you automatically start over. And of course, for the bosses, they also get 2, so you have to beat them twice, and they only have to beat you once. But when they blow out your candle, you get a card called the Smoke, which is basically a squirrel. It's like an extra squirrel. But you get to keep the smoke, basically, is the idea. I'm just going to get a wolf down early with that extra card. Now, the game does make it so that you're guaranteed to pull one of your 1 blood cost cards from the draw for your top deck if you have any 1 blood cards, which pretty much you're always going to have, because otherwise you can't really play anything. Now, I don't want to overplay, and that's just because I know what this boss does here, but once you beat this boss specifically once, you don't want to have too many cards on the board, and I'll leave it at that for now. Now, this little hook on my card here means he's going to steal it with this hook, so he's ready to go. But, so I don't want that to happen. So I could play right here. Actually, it doesn't matter, because I'm only 2 away, so if I play right here, I win this round. But just for the sake of showing you, what you want to do is pull a squirrel if you can, or some card that's not valuable to you, ideally like a pelt or something if you had it, and put that down. And what he's going to do is he's going to switch his target over to the newest card that was put down. And he's going to take that instead. Now, you're not going to see it because we beat him, but normally he'll swoop it over and it'll go onto his side and fight for him. Ooh, and he is not happy about that. I forgot about this. 8 grizzlies. I think we're screwed, guys. Just a little bit. Yeah, I forgot that was an aspect of this game, that you can potentially win too soon. And he gets very angry about that. Even my wolf is only going to do half as much. Yeah, so we're screwed here. That's pretty much what's up. The Gecko though was really strong, because the Gecko insta-killed him with his Touch of Death. Ideally, we'd pull our grizzly right now, but we didn't.
Oh, dang.
It doesn't matter. Even if we use all of our items, we're screwed. Like, we're gonna be starting over. And you're gonna find out that the more you play this game, the more that it's rigged. Like how we just beat him just now and he forced us to lose and start over from the beginning of the game. And you might be thinking, well, why would a game that doesn't let you lose more than once force you to lose and start over? That's stupid. And I sort of agree, but when you play this game all the way through, it'll make more sense. Go fish. Yeah. Yeah, they all have catchphrases. The first boss turns the cards into golds, and he says, "There's gold in them cards." They all have very, very unique catchphrases. They're pretty funny. So what happens now when you die and you're about to start the game over? You make what's called a death card, and it's basically the culmination of your deck. It's going to give you cards at random, and he's going to tell you what you're choosing. So this first one, he's going to say, choose the cost from. So, of course, I'm going to choose my deck because what you're going to find out is this death card we're making right now is going to be put into the pool of potential cards we could get in the future. So you're not going to start with it on your next playthrough, but whenever you have an opportunity to get a card, whether it's randomly or the blood cost or from the trader, trapper, whatever it is, this card will be in the pool of potential options. So you could get to the point where you're playing this card. So you want to make it good. You want to make it as good as you can. So that's really good. That's about best case scenario. And power and health, of course, we're going to take from the grizzly. So this card is going to be insanely overpowered. We're basically going to get a grizzly card for free. And now for the sigils. I don't really want Pack Rat from that. I don't like Pack Rat, personally. The cat is super strong, and so is Fledgling. We can have a card with 6 health that we can continue to sacrifice. It'll never die. We can also pretty much guarantee it would evolve with 6 health, even if it got hit, you know, for 4 or something, it would live. So these are both good options, but because the damage is 4, I don't think it's as important because he already has high stats. I'm going to take the cat, and I really hope we get this card. And then we gotta name it. Let us do underscore? I don't know. I guess it will. We're gonna do Toxic Plays, because that's me. And now he's gotta take our picture. Hey, earned a trophy, Blood Artist. I mean, I'm not ready, but you can go ahead and take it. That's fine. I'm not happy about it anyway. I don't want to smile for this picture. Here we go again.
Another challenger. Perhaps it is time. Perhaps you can understand bones.
Aha! And now you see why he forced us to die, so that we can introduce a new game mechanic. It's kind of this game's way of introducing mechanics, which can seem kind of annoying, but I don't mind too much because you just get to play more. It's really all it means. Which is never a bad thing, right? So bones, as many as you see represents as many as is the cost, just like the blood. But instead of sacrifices, you don't sacrifice anything for it. You can play it without it, but he'll say you're lacking the bones. So every time a creature dies, you gain a bone, and that includes when you're sacrificing. So if I'm going to sacrifice a squirrel right now for something, like this stoat, which I'm actually going to wait. I'll tell you why in a minute. But, well, I'll put the squirrel on a block, but I don't want to play the stoat yet because he's going to die from this rattler. But you'll see. So the rattler's going to come down, kill the squirrel, and you get a bone from every creature that dies, and that includes ones that you sacrifice yourself. So now I'm going to pull another one and sacrifice it to get the stoat down so we can get that rattler out of here, because I'm not playing around with that 3 damage. Now you don't get bones from creatures that die on the opponents, only your own cards that die, whether you sacrifice it or they get killed, but not from cards on the opponent's side. And he's got another rattler, which is crazy, but I do have enough bones to get my possum down. But I forgot to draw like a dum-dum. So I'm going to start pulling squirrels and save to get that wolf down. I'm going to put this possum way over here where it's safe. Oh, right. I forgot to end my turn. I'm sitting here. What is going on? Alright, I'm going to kill this rattler again because they're very, very scary. You let them be for 1 turn and all of a sudden you're almost dead. And we're going to get some more bones here for our overkill, which is good. That's your only form of currency in this game, so it's not detrimental to your game, but
I forgot your figurine. Get up and fetch it for me. It's beside the safe.
So, if you have not caught on yet, this new game that we're starting right here with the original deck again is a different person. And will you quit tapping at me? I hear you tapping. He's tapping his finger on the table. Mr. Impatient. I'm trying to tell the story. Anyways, the lore behind this is that every time you die in the game from losing, 2 lives or however many lives you have, you're dying in real life in this universe, and you are another person that's come into play. Now, it doesn't really explain if people come in to challenge this guy, and he's like a fabled, card player or whatever, or if he captures them and whatever it is, it does not really explain, but just know that you're a new person, which is why you've made that death card with your picture on it. And the pictures do actually change, which is interesting. That coyote's really good. It does cost 4 bones, and the rattler costs 6, which you may be thinking that's a lot compared to the blood cards, but it's really not, because you do go through cards faster than you realize since you get them from sacrificing also. Usually by the end of your 2nd turn, you'll have like at least 3. The cockroach is really strong too. Whenever it dies, it goes back into your hand. So it's basically an infinite card. Now you still need to play 4 bones, use 4 bones every time you play it, but it's still really strong. Now, for the sake of my deck synergy, I'm going to take the coyote, because you'll see it does belong to the wolf pack, versus the cockroach is insect, and I have 0 insects. Now, I have a wolf and I also have a reptile, so I could take the rattler too, but I just think the coyote's a more balanced card all around. Because I don't have that many cards in my deck, I'm not going to be able to play things as often. So in this early stage, I'm going to take the coyote. And then if I get a totem, like I was telling you earlier, I'll have some synergy already. To keep your blood flowing. You're going to kill me if I lose the game, but you want to make sure my legs don't lose blood flow. I'm no tyrant, he says. I'm no tyrant. I'm just going to kill you if you lose. Totally understandable.
Do keep your hands off my possessions.
We'll see. We'll see about that. There is this clock here, which is a puzzle. There's lots of puzzles in here. And you'll also notice now that this painting has changed to a picture of a game. Now, if you match this picture up in a real game, it will unlock something. And I'll try to get that done, but I don't have a goat in my deck now. I don't even have the emergency one anymore, that's right. I don't have a goat in my deck, so I can't even currently do that, but... why'd I get up again? Oh, he just told me to get up, okay. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. You see the smoke's accumulating in the little lamp there? This will also give you teeth. We got 3 from that. Every time you come back, it'll give you teeth. Up to a certain amount. And I remember most of this, but not all. And just because I remember, if you go look through the book here, it'll show you this number, which is the combination to the safe. Which, there's also a few things, if you look through, there's some that are blocked out. You can only read about 40% of the text. Just to make it more difficult for you to read. But this is in the book, and this is another hint to the lore. Like I was saying, every player that plays is new. It's not the same person getting a second chance every time. They're dead. So we see this 273 with the safe combo in this book, and we're making the assumption now that one of the previous players that did not make it out figured out the combination to the safe and was trying to help the next player. So we're going to go put this into the safe and see what we get here. Ta-da! Stink bug. Innocuous insect. I wasn't sure if I would ever escape that iron crypt. Is the stone around? The stunted wolf? This madness must end. Put that away. And we also got a key, which pretty obvious what it goes to. Ooh la la. And we have some more puzzles, which I'm going to save some of these for later, because we did get a new card, and I want to showcase that a little bit. That stink bug we found is now part of our deck. Another talking card, we now have 2. And what's cool is they're going to start to catch up with each other. You'll notice that they've known each other and they have some history. And you want to pay attention to their dialogue and their actions and their looks and things that they say, because it's going to give you more about the story. And the stink bug's ability is the card opposing them loses 1 power. So that's really strong too. And the stink bug also takes bones, so we now have another bone creature in there. This is one of the strongest items in the game. You just make him skip its turn. So even if he has, I believe anyway, that even if he has cards down, they don't attack. I don't 100% remember. I do want to take this goat for the painting on the wall so we can get the next secret, but I can't ever refuse this. Your average square will entirely skip their next turn. So yeah, I'm pretty sure even if he has 4 cards opposing you, they just don't attack. It's really strong. And he won't play any additional cards. You again. Indeed, our friend freed me. Well, I basically told him how to do it. You got a plan? We have another friend here. You've got to be... I wouldn't call him a friend. But I suppose we're in deep this time. I love the conversation between them, and their dialogue, their last dialogue stays on the card the whole time, which is interesting. Anyway, got a game to play here. I want to get rid of this wolf cub before it evolves, because it's going to turn into a wolf. It's doing 3-2 just like this. And actually, if I play... Oh, well, I can't play my stink bug yet. But if I would play my stink bug, if I could, cards that do 1 damage actually aren't going to attack at all. Now, he'll still evolve, but basically shuts it down right there. But I'm going to put him down. He can survive the hit. He'll take him out next turn. And then I can start farming my squirrels. And we've got... What is that? Oh, Alpha Wolf behind him. Alpha Wolf's really strong, too. Alpha Wolf makes the cards next to him stronger. That's one of my favorite cards in the whole game. And my Stoat's gonna die. I'm just gonna draw another squirrel. Now you can play your squirrels prematurely and just leave them to sacrifice for next turn if you want. I'd rather use my my stink bug to, or my possum. I guess I'll use my possum to kill the alpha wolf and then put the wolf over here. I also could have put it down last turn, but I just wanted to wait, see what I drew first, because I didn't want to draw something I couldn't play and then have the wolf off to the side and have his card still down, still have his alpha wolf there. But you just kind of have to play the field and see what you're going to pull, what they're going to draw, what they're going to play. Back in the game. Oh yeah. And you can see the environment change too. We went from like a marshland to kind of rocky, you know, dry environment now. And that does relate to the boss. So the last one was the fish guy, the fisherman, and he was in the marshlands. So now we're in a bit of a kind of high Alps place. But I just like all the attention to detail. Oh, sweet, we got our card. It doesn't even matter what you offer me. I'm taking that. Psh, heck yeah. A free card for 4 and 6 that you can sacrifice indefinitely? Come on now, it doesn't get better than that. So, I am not going to go to this backpack because, for one, I already have 3 items. So if I go, I'm not going to get another item. I'm capped out. But then on top of that, I'm going to get that pack rat, which you've seen we got last time, which I personally don't like, because there's another card that messes up your synergy that you can't do anything about. So I'm going to go to the fire pit, and the fire pit is another one that is going to buff one of your cards, similar to the tablets, where we change the enchantments, but this one just does that without having to sacrifice a card. So this one's kind of better of the two. It really just depends what cards you have. Now when you go here, it's going to give you the option to either, well, you don't get to choose. It's RNG. It's going to offer you either +1 power or +2 health. And you don't know which one you're going to get until you decide to go. So that's the only downside of doing this, versus with the tablets, you can already know what you have and already know what you want to do before you go. But in the sense of you don't have to sacrifice another card, this is better. Now sometimes you want to get rid of a card because you don't have a lot of synergy, but you have a good sigil on a card that you don't want. So then you can make your deck even better. I really want to just do this one and make it even stronger, but it really doesn't need it since it's free. If it wasn't free, I'd buff it, but I think I'm going to give this to my coyote. Or do I want a possum instead? Nah, I'm gonna give it to my, well, I can't decide. I guess I'll do my coyote, make it more worth the four bones. And it kind of hints there also. I'm kind of just skipping past the some of the dialogue, but basically you approach a starving group of survivors because you're this lone traveler traveling in the woods. Like, there's lore in the lore. the game master, as we'll call him, his name's Leshy, but you don't know that yet. Leshy, who's this guy staring at us, is making this whole story up while you're going through the map. And he's telling you, you ran through here, you battled this fisherman guy, and you came across a starving group of survivors. Like, he's giving you your story as you go. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of a paradox. Like, he's giving you lore in a story with its own lore. Now, I'm going to go to this one on the right. It doesn't necessarily matter. Typically, they're both battles, but typically the one with the little fiery, wavy hands is more difficult because these are totem battles. Like I was telling you earlier, the totems are very strong, very valuable, especially if you have synergy in your deck. Like right now we have 1, 2, 3 wolves out of my 7 cards. So just under half my cards will be affected by a totem if I can get it for wolves. Now this one here is a totem battle, but it doesn't mean you get one, it means you're playing against one. I'm going to play this so you can see what it looks like. And also, you usually wouldn't want to choose a more difficult battle, but most of the time it has better rewards on that side of the path after. So you have to look down the line, excuse me, you have to look down the line and see who or what is coming down the map. You want to think 2-3 spaces ahead when you're choosing a route, because it's very tempting to just choose the best option for the immediate next choice, but sometimes something 2-3 down is going to be a choice that you don't need, or it's going to be something that you don't want, and then you're going to be forced to make that decision or fight that, opponent or whatever it is. So you're constantly having to think ahead, inside and outside of a battle, because it comes full circle, and it happens very quickly where you realize that you're screwed and that you messed up. Now, if you notice the Alpha Wolf, like I say, it makes its adjacent cards stronger, so the Wolf's doing one more, but it also makes the Boulder that's normally null on power attack me for 1. So the whole thing's kind of convoluted. He's very strong. Now... It doesn't really matter what I do here. I guess I'm going to put a squirrel to block this. Now, this is one of those moments where putting a squirrel to block is valuable because he doesn't do the overkill damage, so he's only going to damage... He's going to kill the squirrel either way, even though he's only needing 1 to kill him. He's going to take the 4, so I'm blocking him for 4 for only 1 health, and I'm not wasting a card that has a lot of health. And at the same time, now that we've got our bones in play, I did still get a bone from it. So that's one of those moments where it's more valuable to play. Now I'm in a tricky spot. I need to get rid of this Alpha Wolf, because that's going to take 3 damage off, because he's going to lose his ability, making the other 2 stronger. But what to draw? Actually, how many bones do I have? I don't know. I think I only have 5. I don't think I can play both of these because I need 6 to play both. I can't tell. I think I have 5. I'm going to draw a squirrel so I can block 1 person. And then I'm going to use the coyote to kill the wolf because he's doing the most damage. Yeah, I had 5. So I can't play the stink bug, but I'm going to play the squirrel right here on the wolf cub because he's about to evolve and be stronger. So you have to keep that in mind too. If your opponent has evolving cards and you disregard the wolf cub because it's only 1 damage and you go to block something for 2 or something instead, or another 1 because you think it doesn't matter, then he evolves and he does 3, then you could get killed. You're constantly having to think ahead. I'm gonna put the stink bug on the Alpha Wolf and kill it, because that's also gonna make the boulder damage go away also. Then I'm gonna put my squirrel here to block, because once that Alpha Wolf is gone, I'm gonna start doing damage to the board. It's not gonna be as imperative that I have something to combat the wolf right away. But I'm just gonna keep pulling squirrels and block it. I could pull cards from my deck, but because he doesn't have anything opposing me, I can just keep going here and not really worry about it. And I don't remember what this one does. Huh. Oh, wow. I forgot about this. I've only come across this like once. This is a rare interaction. Which makes sense now why we had to do the totem paddle to get over to this first. If I had picked the other one, I would have got a more common thing. So you pick a gold, you have to pick a gold boulder. I forget what he said he's going to give you, but I'm going to pick this one on the right. Dang it. Dagnabbit, that's how I feel. Do I get to keep that card, though? Yes! I was going to say, that's a really good card, though. Mantis is strong because it attacks both both diagonal spaces away from it. And it's got Stinky. It's got 2 sigils. I need to give it some more health, though, if I can. Nice. And don't forget, you can always check what cards you have, as long as you're not in a battle. When you're in the battle is the only time you can't do it, but if you're trying to make a decision of which path to take, just double check your cards, especially when you have more in your more cards in your deck, because it's harder to remember everything. Now I'm gonna go take a break from that and go back and solve one of these puzzles, because we're gonna get some items from solving these, and it's gonna be beneficial to us. Now this works just like the game board when you're in a battle. The side closest to you is the damage you're gonna do, and the side opposing, instead of doing damage back, the only difference is it kind of just absorbs your damage. So you don't really need to worry about the power on it per se, but you do have to do exact damage. So it says 0-5. You have to do exactly 5 damage from your side of the board. So all these ones here on your side of the board, all these ones on your side of the board here are going to do damage. So if I go right now, I'm going to do 6. Oh, wait, okay. Wait. I can't add. Apparently, I don't want to open that yet. Apparently, I can't add. That is 5. Anyways, I'll do it this way so I can show you. It's only adding the damage from your side. So this 2 isn't subtracting, 2 from the 3 I'm doing. It's just not doing it. So if you have some that are right across from each other, it's just going to absorb the damage and kind of block. So this one's super easy. The other ones get complicated. We got a skink.
I forgot I had put that there. Very well. You may add it to your deck, and I'll deal you one every so often.
We're getting a ton of cards now. I'm going to do the other one later and see if I can get rid of some cards first. Also, I think this one... Oh, no, never mind. There's one of them that has, like, magic stuff in it, and we're not even introduced in that yet. So I need to go see what I have, because I'm getting a lot of cards now. I would recommend only having about 10 cards in your deck at a time. You don't really want to have more than that, because like I say, it's really difficult to manage and have that good synergy at that point, because you're not always going to have a choice of something that's going to have this synergy or match the animal breed you're trying to collect or have a good sigil. Sometimes you're going to be forced to take a card that you don't want. So when you have the choice between taking another card or making another one stronger, especially at this point in the game, it's usually better to just make it stronger. So I don't want another item still. I never like going to the trapper for an item, but I'm definitely not getting rid of this one because this is so strong. 4 and 6 for free, and you could sacrifice as many times as you want. I'm definitely not getting rid of that. And I don't want to get rid of this. I don't like to get rid of the stink bug. Personally, I don't like to get rid of any of the talking cards just because it's nice to kind of have that entertainment, and they do give you a little bit of spoilers about your environment and everything as you go, so I don't really like to sacrifice them. The skink basically jumps out of the way when you get hit, or if you would get hit. So let's say I've got a wolf across from my skink. The wolf goes to hit me. As long as I have an empty space on either side of the skink, he'll move over to one of them and spawn a tail. He'll rip off his own tail just like a real lizard would when they're threatened, and split his tail off, and the tail has, I think, 1 health and does no damage. Basically, the tail will get attacked instead of the skink, so he can live another day. So it's an interesting little strategy there. Anyway, I think I'm going to put the anti-flying on something from the bullfrog, because I don't care for the bullfrog too much. I could give it to Toxic Plays. I could give it to myself, because he does have 6 health, so he could take a few hits. I think I'll do that. I was thinking about doing it to the wolf, but they only have 2 health, so I don't know. I'd rather do this. I can beef him up a little bit more, and then not even the birds can avoid him. What are we at already? We're already in an hour, wow. Wolf Cub, okay. Starting off pretty simple. I'll just put my skink down so you can see what it does. So Wolf Cub's gonna come down. Instead of hitting the skink, skink moves over. Oh, the tail has 2 health, nice.
It's hard to call it cowardly.
Oh, that's even better than I remember. So you see that I like the visual effects too, like the skink actually is missing his tail now in the picture. And also you see his sigil disappeared because he's used that ability already. Similar to when the wolf cub evolves, his fledgling symbol disappears. I'm just going to draw another squirrel because I can't play anything. And I'll just draw another because I'm probably going to pull a wolf or something next turn. I'm going to put my... am I going to die? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. I can just barely survive that. I'm going to put my stink bug down because the wolf cub is not going to do any damage at all. The stinky's going to make him 1 less powerful. Now you just have to make sure you don't feel too comfortable with that because he is going to evolve into a wolf cub still. Or into a wolf, I mean, but he's going to be killed before that can happen. But just don't let your guard down. Now I really need like a wolf or something. Mantis is a good choice. Now the only thing is he's going to die. Almost wondering if I should waste some of his ability and just put him here so that he only hits 1 card, but he'll live. Because it's really all I'm going to have. I can get the possum down, but I don't know. I guess I'll put him here. He is going to die even with Stinky, but he's going to do 1 damage to that wolf, and then I'll put the possum here so that wolf dies collectively from the 2 of their hits, and then I still won't take any damage this turn. Very nice. Yeah! Finally I draw this. Okay, I've had this for like 2 matches now. Of course I want to put this here. I'm just going to put the squirrel down just for the heck of it. How much are we doing here? 6? Yeah, we're about to win. So this is just a pro tip, something to pay attention to. It doesn't matter. He's got no cards down. I'm going to do 6 damage right here. I only need 5 to win. So I've won either way. But remember that you have that currency of the tooth. So you want to try and capitalize on these opportunities when you can maximize your overkill damage. So I'm going to get this wolf down, get rid of the squirrel, and I'm going to get rid of the possum because it only does 1. The wolf's doing 3. So I'm going to get 2 extra damage in, and I'm going to get 2 extra teeth from that at the end. Because instead of doing 6 and getting 1, I'm doing 8 and getting 3 now. I have another choice. Now this is the Trapper, which I told you only have an opportunity to go to once per map. But I think, yeah, I'm going to go to the Trapper and get a pelt. Either way, I'm going to get a card, but at least I can trade the pelt. Hopefully soon after this next boss. Now, they all have different costs. Now, you can see the more expensive the pelt, or the more valuable the pelt is, the more health they have. So I typically like to get these golden ones so that they're kind of on par with the squirrel, because remember, you still can't sacrifice it, but at least if you got to put it down to block and it's preventing you from pulling a better card, at least it can block something, hopefully take, 1 or 2 hits. Now, a little secret here that I did not notice until very late in my first playthrough: if you back out of this option, you can actually pay to buy the knife that's on his table right there. Now, you can't do it yet because it's your first playthrough, technically, even though you've died once already. But just know, the more times you die, the more that you unlock. So you don't want to die, but it's not necessarily a bad thing if you die either. So it's kind of convoluted, but I'm going to take a golden pelt, and I think that's all I can take. I don't want these ones, so I'm just going to save my money for next time. So now I can take this gold one to the trader, and the gold ones give you rare cards. So I can get a rare card, or I can just keep the pelt and have a nice free blocker card. I guess I will get rid of my skink, as much as I don't want to. Now you can enchant your pelt cards, which I do not recommend, because most likely you're going to be trading them off anyways. But you could do that if you wanted. Like, you could have a pelt evolve so that it actually does damage, but most of the time it's not worth it. I'm gonna put... I think I'm gonna put this tail on my stink bug, because he'll make them 1 weaker, and then he'll also move out of the way. So that'll be pretty good. Another boss.
The incessant clanking reverberated between your ears.
That's how I imagine this guy talks. Very mysterious. 'Twas the prospector. See, you thought Go Fish was funny. This guy's like, yeehaw! Okay, so one thing about this boss is his battle always starts off exactly the same. He will always play this pack mule and this coyote at the start for his very first turn in the exact same spot, and you will always have this boulder over here on your right. You will always have the same setup. Now, whatever he plays after that is RNG and will always change, but just know this will always start the same way, so you have something to keep an eye on. Or, something to kind of practice with and have in your head when you go into this. So, if you kill this pack mule here, you're gonna get, it's sitting on an envelope of 5 cards, and you'll get to keep those 5 cards when you kill it. So you want to kill it, but you don't want to lose your focus on the coyote, because the coyote will take you out while you're focused on that. And you don't want to take out the coyote too fast, because if you look at this sigil for the mule, it will move over behind this boulder, and you'll never be able to kill it. So it's kind of a waste. So you have to kind of do some time management here and chip away at the mule while you still kind of block for the coyote without killing it too soon. Now, I think... it's too bad he doesn't do one. I guess I'm going to throw the smoke down. Now, you'll notice the smoke actually has a sigil. It'll give you 4 bones instead of 1. So the smoke's actually better than a squirrel. And you can sacrifice it too. You don't have to wait for it to die. It'll still give you 4 bones. But I'm gonna put my mantis here, and then I'm gonna put my stink bug down here. So what's gonna happen is he's gonna come try to attack. My stink bug's gonna move out of the way, spawn a tail for him to chew at, and then he'll work on the mule right after. So we still didn't take any damage. I have a pelt in my hand that I drew from the draw, so that's good. I can use that to block for free. And I'm going to start chipping away at this mule. And actually the coyote's going to die here, but it's not a big deal because the other coyote's there. So we're going to be in the same situation, just 1 block over. Now the one thing that does suck is this pelt is not blocking anymore, so that was a misplay. And this is why I say Don't play too quickly. Pay attention. Very easy to lose track of everything. I want to put the stoat down, but I also don't. I guess I'm just going to block with a squirrel, because if I kill the coyote now, the pack mule is going to keep moving to the right. But if I leave the coyote there, the coyote will start moving back the pack mule will start moving back the other way towards my stink bug. And I actually beat him already. Okay, I was not paying attention to that. I thought I had way less damage done. And here's another trademark: when you beat him, all the cards that you have on the board get turned into gold. So you don't want to have a full 4 cards on the board like I did. For as much as this has been kind of a walkthrough, making a lot of mistakes the last few minutes, but it's all right. It's not a game over, but it is going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, the one benefit of this situation is you can kind of just farm some of your cards and get everything going, so that once a space opens up, you have things to play. Now, this is really good because I can get everything in my deck down. I had nice RNG there. I'm gonna draw another one. Oh, perfect. That just saved me. Alright, I need to get rid of this bloodhound so the pack mule moves back. And you can check the arrow too. Whichever way the arrow's facing is whichever way he's gonna move, and it does change if he's blocked in on one side. So you want to keep paying attention to that as well. And yeah, it doesn't matter if I kill the coyote because the pack mule's moving the way that we want it to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the coyote now. Pack mule's gonna move over, we're gonna insta-kill him. It's pretty much a done deal at this point, because I'm about to get more cards anyways. And I've got really strong stuff on the board. Dang nabbit! And like I say, when you're at this point when you know you've won the battle, you want to try and play your strongest card so you can get more of that overkill damage and get more teeth. But it didn't matter with the Rattler because you don't get the overkill if there's nothing behind it. Only if you're hitting the board directly or if there's another card behind it. And now we get a rare card because we beat a boss, which you get every time. The long elk. Long elk style. Oh, I'm crazy. I don't want your frickin' pack rat, man. Get this out of here. The strange larva, you already know this evolves, but this actually evolves twice, which is why it's rare. But I personally don't like waiting that long for 2 turns, because half the time you either die from too much damage by the time this comes into play, or it gets killed before it has its second evolution. So I'm going to take the long elk. It does insta-kill, which is very nice. And there's another little secret potential of the long elk too. But you'll have to find out what that is later. And now... oh, now we're in the wetlands. I swear we were in the wetlands before. Oh, yeah, we were, but we lost that battle. That's right. Okay. Yeah, we still have the squirrel and black goat, which I still don't have a black goat, even in my items. It will work, by the way, for the puzzle if you use the goat from your item, emergency item, but I don't have one either way. Now we're going to go to the trader. I'm going to get rid of these pelts I got. I think I have a regular one, yeah, and a golden one. And we still have not been introduced to the totems yet, but we should have an opportunity soon here. I think I'm still pushing for wolves. But I only have 3. I don't even know if we're going to get a totem this game, so it is what it is. I could take another stinky and then just go to the tablets and trade this out. I think I'll do that since it's a low cost. Feast your eyes on the Urayuli. which has 7 damage and 7 health. It's overpowered, but it takes 4 blood sacrifices to get it down. So you'll be lucky if you even can get it down, but if you can, you pretty much won the game. I don't know if I want to take it, though. Actually, my deck's pretty cheap now. I've got this free card, I've got 1, 1, 1, and then these are all bones. My highest card is 2, and I only have 1 of them. Actually, okay, normally I would take the Gek in this situation, right? And Child 13, by the way, looks like it's just like a cat. But what happens with this is every time you make a sacrifice of it in-game, it actually gets stronger. That's why it's rare. That's really good, too. I mean, these are all good. The Gek I would normally take, though, because it's free, and I can make stronger, add a bonfire, and improve its health and damage, or give it a sigil. But because my deck's already so cheap, I'm not really in necessity of it. It's still never bad to have your deck too cheap, necessarily. But I'm going to take the Urayuli just because I can afford it. I only have a couple of things that I'm using my blood for, so... Ugh, and I have to get another item. I don't want your frickin'... This guy just really wants me to have this pack rat, man. I do not like the pack rat. It just never goes with anything. It doesn't have an animal class, so it never fits with your synergy. I always have 3 items because I only play them if I absolutely need them. Now, as the game gets harder, I mean, that's not as bad of a card, but early game, it's pretty bad to me because you don't need it like that. You usually have most of your items. I'm gonna go to the left because if you look way down the path, you got that little box with the X in it, and that is your opportunity to get rid of a card for no cost. You don't have to replace it or anything. You can just get rid of a card, which is perfect. Because, like I say, I can get rid of this pack rat now. You don't want to have too many cards, especially when they don't match. Now, I've got to do a little bit of a harder battle to get there, but it's not usually too big of a difference. He's got birds that move to the right. Big deal. Sometimes you get insects with ants that keep multiplying and every ant evolves or something crazy. But I think it's pretty good about monitoring how difficult it is early on, so we don't have too much to worry about right now. The beehive's going to spawn a bee on the board every time you hit it. Now, when this is in your possession and the beehive gets hit, for every hit it takes, you get a bee in your hand to play. And you would think he's going to get a bee on the board if I hit it, but actually no, you still get the bee in your hand when you hit it, so you don't even need to stress about that right now if you have bigger priorities, which I can't do anything about the kingfishers. I can't block them or anything, so all I can do is focus on getting something else down, or just work on the beehive for free bees. But I'm going to put my skunk down so this kingfisher doesn't do anything. And as long as I don't kill the beehive with that stump over there, those kingfishers aren't going to go anywhere. So I'll let the one grind on that grand fur for 2 turns, and I won't take damage from it. And my skunk's not going to take any damage either, so we're at a stalemate right now. And basically, I've bought myself 2 free turns to just collect cards, load up on squirrels so I can get my Urayuli down, whatever I want to do. And we're in a really good spot. And then once he gets that grand fur down, I can get something else down and not have to worry about the otter behind it, because I won't be able to kill the... I wouldn't be able to kill the kingfisher anyway. So, Homeboy the Stoat is telling us there's a third talking card, and that he has a plan to get out. So, he's somewhere in the room, and we've got to find him. Of course, I know where he is. I don't remember the code I need, but I do remember how to get him. I'm going to start chipping away at this beehive now. One strategy you can do with the pack rat, even if you have 3 items, is just blow one of your items that maybe aren't as good, like maybe the pliers. I wouldn't waste it on like your hourglass or something, because that's one of the strongest ones. Use one of your weaker items if you really don't feel like you need squirrels, or you're just going to blow the pliers because it's not going to make that big of a difference. Try to get a better item. And you can use one and then play your pack rat and it'll replace the item immediately. So that is one good use, but like I say, I just am not fond enough about him to really use him. So now we're going to get a beehive from this, or a bee from it, which I can also use to sacrifice, or I can just play and it'll do damage. So this is basically an upgraded squirrel now. Now remember, it's airborne, so it's just going to attack directly. So if I put it right next to right across from the kingfisher there, that'll just be kind of tied out, because they're both going to do one every time. I think instead I'm going to use it to get this pack rat out. I'll use these pliers, because they're not an awesome item. There's better things. And you only get one item from it, so you don't want to blow all your items trying to get stuff. You're only going to get one. But I'm going to put him out, and he can start chipping away at this stump so I can start doing damage. And hey, we got the black goat we needed. So now we can revisit that painting, as long as I can get those 2 cards out in the right order. And we'll unlock something. Hey, nice. Well, that's gonna close it up right there. I don't really have anything to play, so I'm just gonna keep building my deck here. I mean, it's over anyway. Alright, so I want to go back and show you the painting real quick. Oh, that was weird. What? I've never seen it do that. It, like, shifted me over to the door. Anyway, so this squirrel and black goat that's right here, obviously it's hinting towards you. If you play these cards and have your board look like this, something is going to happen. Something's going to unlock. But I just want to point out, you do not need to have the other 6 spaces empty like this. You could have all the other 6 spaces empty and play the squirrel and black goat like that, and it will still work and unlock the secret. But they do have to be in those 2 spaces in that order. That is the only thing that matters. But the rest of the board does not matter. So, again, it's given us a second chance to change our mind and go to the other path, but I am good with my decision. I want to get rid of that pack rat. I really don't need it, especially now that I got my goat. And I'm going to get another golden pelt, which, by the way, if you noticed, every pelt you buy increases the price of the next one of the same type. So if I buy this one for 2 right here, the next time I have a chance to buy one, it's going to be 3, and then 6, and whatever. But this was 7, it went up 2. So I'm going to get 1 more for next time, and we'll get another rare card for that. Then we'll have 3 rare cards, I think. Yeah. Oh, technically the pack rat's a rare card too, but it's so easy to get, I don't consider it a rare one. But we've got 3 already, so... Except we don't, because I'm about to get rid of the pack rat.
You came across some familiar stones, but there was something different. You intuited that the fate of the creature selected for this would not be pleasant.
I like how it just goes dark red all of a sudden. Just you hear the devil music playing in the background of the drums.
Prepare for sacrifice.
Oh, I cracked myself up. I just love the environment. It's dripping with atmosphere. You can get rid of your pelts, by the way. If you're like, I cannot get rid of the stupid frickin' pelt because I can only visit the trader once, you can sacrifice the pelts too. This is the only time that you can sacrifice the pelts. But I'd honestly rather keep the pelt and get something for it. So I'm going to get rid of my pack rat, I think. Unless I get rid of like my possum, but My possum's basically free. It only costs 2 bones versus 2 blood, so I'm still gonna get rid of this. And whatever you sacrifice here, you're gonna get something from the Bone Lord, which is gonna start each battle with 1 extra bone. So that's another good reason to come here, especially when you have a lot of bone cards that cost 2, like the Stink Bug and the Possum. You're only 1 away, and if you sacrifice a squirrel on your first turn, you can get 2 cards out that are going to do damage, pretty much guaranteed with this. You're going to get that every single match from now on. Unless, of course, like I say, you die and you have to start over, then you don't have that anymore. Sure, I'll throw the skunk out. Nobody's going to do any damage. Got the Urayuli on the draw. This is a really strong opportunity to get that black goat out. I'm gonna pull emergency squirrel, get my wolf out. I don't want to get rid of the skunk because then I'm gonna take 3 damage next turn instead of 2. I'm gonna put the wolf here, and I'm very careful about putting it here because I'm trying to keep this space open so I can get that goat out next turn and get this unlock. Wait a second. Oh, shoot, I messed up. I don't know why I thought my wolf was going to live. I was like, what is happening? And that got a rattler coming down for 3. Alright. Well. You know, I can't. I was going to say I will pull this out, but I can't. If I want to not die this game, I have to use the goat right now to get my Urayuli out. Unfortunately, as much as I don't want to, I can get another black goat. I can't get another life for a while. So I'm gonna put that out, and then I gotta sacrifice both of these. So you see on the right here, the black goat is gonna give you 3 instead of 1. But this is what I mean. So you have 3 left to use, but you can't just save those for later. You have to use all 3 on 1 card. Now we're going to get him out. I'm going to put this right here because he's going to absorb the 3 damage from the Rattler and still live, and he's also going to get 7 off, and I'm going to win. And this card's so overpowered because literally if I played anything else but getting him on the board, I would have lost. But making sure I could play him got me the W, like, so easy. And another skunk. And you'll notice here this little mushroom underneath the skunk. That signifies that you already have one of that card in your deck. So if you go back up and look at your deck here, I do have a skunk already. But just in case, you know, you got 400 cards, you don't feel like scrolling through them, it lets you know that you have one already, which I think is nice. And if I had one of all of these 3, they would all have their own mushroom. So that's just a nice little thing. I never knew what that meant my first playthrough. The more you know. I almost took that on accident. I don't think I want it. Well, I guess I'll take it, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. It honestly wouldn't be a good. It honestly would be a good time to go to the backpack right now and replenish my other 2 items, but I just hate going there. I would much rather make something else stronger. Which I think that I'd like to make my Mantis have more health. Because he's really strong, but he only has 1. Gotta do the boss battle now. Maybe I'll go to the backpack next. He's got a really strong sigil. He's got stinky birds. Stinky birds. They are stinky. They suck. Stinky kingfishers that I can't even hit. So all of my creatures are going to do one less. Except whichever I put under here by this stump. I don't even want to put my stoat down because he's just going to sit there. I'm going to have to sacrifice him. So I'm going to put my stoat over here. But he's still going to have to chip away at this stump for 3 turns. You're a bad play, bro. I'm going to take 2 again. I could take that. And now we're in a sticky spot here. I'm gonna put down my wolf. And he's going to counter all that. And the next turn, this stump will be gone, but the sparrow's gonna come down, so that sparrow's gonna do 1, and the other kingfisher's gonna do 1. So we're gonna be tied 1 and 1, but then after that my stoat will start to chip away at one of the birds finally. Oh shoot, why did I forget about the other kingfisher? I don't know why I totally forgot about him. See, when you it doesn't seem like it's that difficult to keep track of, but once you have a full board like that where you've got 7 cards on the board and you're focused on planning ahead and thinking about what you want to do, you forget little things like that, or at least I do. Oh, do I want to go back to the campfire? Do I want to sacrifice another card? Tough decisions. I mean, I've got like this coyote and possum and wolf and stoat and skunk that I can't really do anything with. I did take another skunk so I could give Stinky to something, but I don't know what I'd want to give it to. Maybe the elk? Could also do health. I think just because, only because I have a boss battle coming, I'll take the items. That's the only reason. And because I'll get 2 instead of just 1 also. Porcupine, this is a good sigil too. When you get struck, you return fire with 1 damage. Even if like this porcupine was like 4 damage, 2 health, it only returns fire for 1. But it's still pretty strong when you get hit by something like, let's say this adder hits you and insta-kills you. Even if you're dead, you still return fire and you would kill that adder. So it's kind of a equalizer. I'm going to take the porcupine. He's cool. I have a lot of cards though right now. I've got... what's 18 cards? 14? I don't know. I can't add, clearly. I hope I get decent items though. The scissors are really good. That's the second best thing. And another clock? No way. 2 hourglasses and scissors. That's about as good. I'm going to take a screenshot. This is about as good as it gets right here, folks. The only thing better is 3 hourglasses. Those are the 2 best items you could get. Why did it look like you... I swear to God, I thought that was a basketball behind your head. And I've seen that 100 times. Just right now, this one specific time looked so wild. This is homeboy that killed me my first run through. So we're pretty salty about that. I would normally put the stoat there, and it's just kind of a guaranteed 1-to-1 either way, and this tile just kind of cancels out. But because he has 3 health, I don't want to waste the opportunity, you know? Now, instead of pulling a squirrel here and putting the squirrel down so that he takes the squirrel, I'm going to put my pelt down. Because even though it's a card I have to hit 3 times before I can start damaging the board, What it's going to do is, if I put it in one of these two spots, right here, it'll push the card in play back. And if I choose not to kill it, then I can counter the Kingfisher that way. Since I can't kill the Kingfisher, I can take it out of play, take it out of commission, basically. So I'm going to put it here. And at the same time, I'm protecting my Stoat from being stolen. So aggressive about it.
Mine now, go fish. Go fish.
This is my favorite boss, because it's got the blue tiles, and the soundtrack's pretty cool, and then you
go fish.
I just love them. Alright, this is a good opportunity to put my porcupine down, return fire at the frog. It's basically like your porcupine does 2 and 2. Because you damage one, and then you come back your next turn and take another shot. So you get to kill him early, and then that way he's still on the board instead of it being the frog. And now I have 0 competition. Now be careful. We're at the point where it's easy to get carried away and just start throwing cards down. But this boss's trademark, just like how the Prospector boss turned all our cards into gold at the end, this one is going to put some shark bait across from us as soon as we beat him here the first time. And the sharks are very strong. You do not want to mess with them. So you want to just barely have enough damage to beat him and not have all your cards out, because it's very hard to get out of it once you're in that situation. You also don't want to blow all your cards, because you're probably going to lose whichever ones are on the board when the sharks come out. Now, I'm just going to put another squirrel here so that I don't have that to deal with, because it's 1 health to take care of instead of 3. And now that Kingfisher's off the board completely. Yeah, I can... no, I can't put my long elk down now. Yeah, I'm gonna save this right here. As tempting as it is to put it down, I'm gonna save it. Because look, I'm gonna win right now anyways. And see, there goes the bait buckets right here. So after 1 turn, they're going to turn into sharks. And I don't remember what they are, but I think it's something like 4 and 6 like the grizzlies. And they go underwater, so you can't even damage them. They are insanely overpowered. Now you can throw out all of your strong stuff and try to finish this off before the sharks come out. Because once they come out, it's rough. Which I only need 2 more, which I'm not going to get, but we're close. So we should be fine here either way. Oh, they're 4 and 2. That's not as bad as I thought, but it doesn't matter. They can have 1 health because you can't damage them anyway.
Need a light.
Yes, I do, thank you. Grizzled Angler. So we finally beat this guy, even though it was totally rigged the first time. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take the Gek now. There's 2 Uragulis, I could get screwed and pull 2 in a row and I can't play anything.
You considered one of the angler's catches as a meal, but the rank odor deterred you. Dinner would have to wait. Let me think.
Now we're in the frozen tundra.
A frigid gust of wind billowed unwelcome into your lungs.
I don't feel like reading all that.
The snow line.
Alright, I'm going to leave this one here. We've got a lot more gameplay coming. We finally beat the boss that sent us back to the beginning, so that's a good checkpoint. When we come back next time, we've got another puzzle to do, and we've still got things that were not figured out. And we got more teeth in here. Every time, I think it's after every battle you get more teeth, so gotta remember to come back to those. We've got more puzzles to figure out and all that. So we'll start this next map and do the rest of those puzzles next time. I hope you've all enjoyed my first stream of Inscryption, and we'll come back and finish this another time. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day, everybody. Say bye, Leshy.
Goodbye.